Chosen ones, can you feel that shift in the air around you? Something's different, isn't it? You wake up in the morning and there's this quietness inside you, this peace that wasn't there before, this knowing that you've stepped into something bigger than yourself. You're not the same person you were 6 months ago. Hell, you're not even the same person you were last week. And they can sense it. Oh, they can definitely sense it. The people who used to have access to your energy, your emotions, your reactions, they're panicking, they're scrambling. They're doing everything they can to pull you back into the old patterns, the old games, the old version of yourself that served their needs. But here's the thing, chosen one, and yes, I'm calling you chosen one because that's exactly what you are. You're not going back. You can't go back. Because once you've tasted true freedom, once you've experienced what it feels like to be aligned with your authentic power, there's no returning to the cage they built for you. They know it, you know it, and the universe is celebrating. See, what's happening to you right now isn't just personal growth. This isn't just about setting boundaries or learning self-care. This is cosmic. This is spiritual. This is the universe itself, recognizing that you're ready for your next level, and that terrifies the people who benefited from your old level. Let me tell you what detachment really means, because they've got it all wrong. They're calling you cold. They're saying you've changed. They're telling everyone who will listen that you're not yourself anymore. And you know what? They're absolutely right. You're not yourself anymore. You're your best self. That detachment they're so confused about, that's not coldness, my friend. That's wisdom wearing a winter coat. That's emotional intelligence putting on its work clothes. That's self-love finally showing up to do its job. You stopped being their emotional dumping ground. You stopped being their therapist, their entertainment, their validation machine. You stopped being available for drama at 2 a.m. You stopped responding to every text, every call, every manufactured crisis designed to pull you back into their chaos, and they hate it. But here's what they don't understand, and what you're just beginning to grasp. This detachment isn't about them at all. It's about you finally choosing yourself. For years, maybe decades, you've been operating from a place of people-pleasing. You've been the giver, the helper, the one who always had time for everyone else's problems, but never your own solutions. You've been the shoulder to cry on, the ear to listen, the heart to understand. And where did it get you? Drained, exhausted, empty, running on fumes while everyone around you thrived on the energy you freely gave away. But something shifted, didn't it? Maybe it was a moment of clarity. Maybe it was one betrayal too many. Maybe it was just the universe whispering in your ear, enough is enough, and you listened. You started saying no without explaining yourself. You started protecting your time like the precious resource it is. You started choosing your peace over their chaos, your growth over their comfort, your future over their past. This detachment, it's not you becoming less loving, it's you learning to love yourself first, and that's revolutionary, because when a chosen one learns to love themselves first, everything changes, the energy shifts, the power dynamics flip, the whole game board gets turned upside down, and suddenly they're not playing with a pushover anymore. They're dealing with someone who knows their worth, someone who values their energy, someone who understands that not everyone deserves access to their inner world. That's terrifying for people who built their entire relationship with you on having unlimited access to your emotional resources. So they're calling it detachment like it's a bad thing. But you and I both know the truth. This detachment is actually you finally getting attached to the right things, attached to your peace, attached to your growth, attached to your purpose. And that attachment to yourself is making them desperate. Now let me break down exactly how you can tell they're desperate, because once you see these signs, you'll understand just how powerful your transformation really is. Sign 1, the obsessive study. They're watching you like you're a mystery they need to solve. Your social media posts, your energy, your vibe, everything about you has become their personal research project. They're trying to figure out your secret. How did you get so calm? How did you become so unbothered? Where is this new confidence coming from? They're studying your silence like it's a foreign language, because for them it is a foreign language. They're used to getting reactions, responses, and emotional availability on demand. Your silence has become their obsession. I've seen this happen over and over again. The ex who suddenly starts liking old photos just to see if you'll react. The friend who brings up your name in conversations, fishing for information about what you're up to. The family member who keeps asking other people about your new attitude. They're trying to crack the code of your peace. But here's the beautiful thing. There is no code. There's just you, finally choosing yourself. Sign 2, the imitation game. This one's almost funny if it wasn't so predictable. They're trying to copy what you have now. Suddenly they're posting about self-love and boundaries. They're sharing quotes about letting go and moving forward. They're trying on your energy like it's an outfit they can borrow, but it looks forced on them, doesn't it? Because it's not authentic. They're trying to recreate the result without doing the inner work. They want peace without the process, the glow without the growth, the confidence without the commitment to change. You can spot the difference immediately. Your transformation came from within. It's rooted in real change, real healing, real self-discovery. Theirs is surface level, performance-based, designed to either compete with you or get your attention. Sign 3, the time machine tactics. Oh, this one's a classic. They're constantly bringing up the past, trying to pull you back into old versions of yourself that serve their needs. Remember when you used to? You're not the same person who, I miss the old you. Of course they miss the old you. The old you was convenient for them. The old you was available for their drama. The old you prioritized their comfort over your own growth. But you're not that person anymore, and every time they try to remind you of who you used to be, they're actually confirming who you've become. Sign 4, the messenger brigade. When they can't reach you directly, they start using other people as their personal delivery service. Suddenly, mutual friends are reaching out with innocent questions about how you're doing. Family members are being enlisted to check on your well-being. Old acquaintances are popping up with messages that feel suspiciously coordinated. They're hoping someone else can access what they can't. They're hoping someone else can deliver their message, their energy, their need for your attention through a back door. But you can sense it, can't you? You can feel the difference between genuine concern and orchestrated outreach. Your intuition has been sharpened by this whole experience. Sign 5, the everywhere strategy. This one might seem like coincidence at first, but pay attention to the pattern. Suddenly they're everywhere you are. The coffee shop you frequent, the gym you go to, the events you attend, they're showing up in spaces you've claimed as your own. It's not stalking in the traditional sense, but it's definitely not coincidental either. They're trying to insert themselves back into your story, your space, your peace. But here's what they don't realize: your energy field has changed. Even when they're physically present, they can't penetrate your emotional space the way they used to. You've developed spiritual boundaries that their physical proximity can't cross. Sign 6, the escalation campaign. When subtlety doesn't work, they turn up the volume. The manipulation tactics get more creative. The guilt trips get more dramatic. The crisis creation goes into overdrive. They'll manufacture emergencies that somehow require your immediate attention. They'll create drama that pulls at your old programming to fix, help, rescue. I really need someone to talk to. I'm going through the worst time. Nobody understands me like you do. But something's different now, isn't it? Those old hooks don't catch the way they used to. That old programming has been updated. You feel compassion without feeling compelled. You care without feeling called to action. Sign 7, the reality check panic. This is the big one. This is when they finally realize that their power over you is gone, and they panic. They might lash out in anger, trying to provoke a reaction. They might switch to love bombing, showering you with sudden appreciation and affection. They might threaten to cut you off, hoping you'll chase after them. But you don't. You stay centered. You remain detached. You continue choosing your peace, and that's when they realize the devastating truth. You've outgrown them. You've evolved beyond their reach. You're operating on a frequency they can't access anymore. This realization sends them into a spiral of desperation that only confirms what you already know. You made the right choice in detaching. Now let me tell you what's really happening here on a cosmic level, because this goes way deeper than just personal boundaries and self-improvement. When you aligned with your authentic power, when you stopped accepting less than you deserve, you triggered something in the universe itself. You activated what I call the Cosmic Protection Protocol. See, the universe has been waiting for you to choose yourself. It's been patiently watching you give your energy away, hoping you'd eventually realize your worth. And when you finally did, when you finally said enough and started protecting your light, the universe said finally and immediately went to work on your behalf. This isn't just metaphysical theory, chosen one. This is observable reality. Think about your life right now compared to 6 months ago, a year ago. Opportunities that were blocked suddenly opened up. People who never noticed you before started reaching out. Doors that seemed permanently locked began to swing wide. Resources you needed appeared seemingly out of nowhere. That's not a coincidence. That's cosmic law in action. When you stop leaking energy through toxic relationships, that energy gets redirected toward your purpose, your growth, your destiny. When you stop being available for drama, you become available for miracles. The universe operates on the principle of energy alignment. When your energy was scattered, giving pieces of yourself to people who didn't value your gifts, the universe couldn't deliver the experiences you were meant to have. It's like trying to fill a bucket with holes in it. No matter how much water you pour in, it just drains out. But when you patch those holes by setting boundaries, by choosing detachment, by prioritizing your own healing, that bucket could finally hold water, and the universe began pouring. This is why they're so desperate. They can sense on a vibrational level that you're being supported by forces beyond their reach. They can feel that you're protected by something they can't touch, can't manipulate, can't control. Your ancestors are cheering you on. Your spirit guides are clearing the path ahead. The universe itself is conspiring in your favor. And all of this was triggered by one simple but revolutionary act. You chose yourself. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Your detachment didn't just protect you from their energy drain, it actually started healing generational patterns. See, when you break the cycle of people-pleasing, of giving more than you receive, of accepting crumbs when you deserve the whole feast, you're not just healing yourself, you're healing your lineage. You're the ancestor future generations will thank. You're the one who said no more to patterns that have been running in your family, your community, your soul group for generations. This is why your transformation feels so powerful, so significant, so life-changing. Because it is life-changing, not just for you, but for everyone connected to you energetically. The people who are desperate to pull you back aren't just losing access to your current energy, they're losing access to the old patterns they've been feeding off of for years, maybe lifetimes. Your healing is disrupting their supply chain. Your growth is threatening their comfort zone. Your evolution is exposing their stagnation. And that's exactly what's supposed to happen. When a chosen one rises, everything around them has to either rise with them or fall away. There's no middle ground. There's no staying the same when someone in your orbit is transforming at the level you're transforming. This is why some relationships are ending. This is why some people are becoming more distant. This is why others are becoming more desperate. You're forcing everyone around you to choose mindless evolution or stagnation, growth or comfort, the future or the past. And the ones choosing stagnation, they're the ones showing you their desperation now. But here's the beautiful part. Their desperation is actually serving your highest good. Every time they try to pull you back and you choose to stay detached, you're proving to yourself just how far you've come. You're reinforcing your new neural pathways. You're strengthening your spiritual muscles. Their desperation is becoming your confirmation that you're on the right path. And the universe is taking notes. Every time you choose yourself over their manipulation, cosmic forces align more powerfully in your favor. Every boundary you maintain is like casting a spell for your own protection and prosperity. This is the spiritual law of reciprocity in action. The energy you used to give away freely is now being returned to you multiplied. Let me tell you what's happening to you on an alchemical level, because this transformation you're experiencing is literally changing your molecular structure. When you were operating from people-pleasing mode, from constant giving, from emotional availability for everyone but yourself, your energy field was scattered. It was like having 10 different radio stations playing at once, chaotic, draining, impossible to tune into clearly. But detachment is the ultimate tuning fork. It's bringing all your scattered energy back home to you. It's consolidating your power. It's creating coherence in your electromagnetic field, and people can feel that coherence. They can sense that you're no longer leaking energy all over the place. They can feel that your power is contained, controlled, and directed by you. This is why they're desperate. They're not just missing your emotional availability, they're missing access to your life force energy. And without that access, they're having to face their own inner emptiness. See, energy vampires, and let's call them what they are, don't actually create energy. They consume it. They feed off the life force of others because they've disconnected from their own source of power. When you were freely giving your energy, you were enabling their disconnection. You were allowing them to stay spiritually lazy because they didn't have to do their own inner work. They could just feed off yours. But now they're being forced to generate their own energy. And for someone who's been feeding off others for years, that's terrifying. It's like asking someone who's never cooked to suddenly prepare a 5-course meal. They don't know how, they've forgotten how, or maybe they never knew how in the first place. This is why your boundaries feel like such a threat to them. You're not just setting limits on their access to you. You're forcing them to become self-sufficient energetically, and that feels impossible to someone who's built their entire existence around consuming rather than creating. But while they're struggling with this forced independence, you're thriving in yours. Your energy, no longer scattered and drained, is concentrating. It's becoming more potent, more magnetic, more powerful. You're like a star that was previously hidden behind clouds, and now those clouds have parted, and your light is shining at full strength. This concentrated energy is what's attracting new opportunities, new people, new experiences into your life. You're literally becoming a magnet for everything you've been asking for. The universe responds to energetic clarity. When your energy was confused, scattered, given away freely, the universe couldn't deliver clear manifestations. It's like trying to follow a GPS with a weak signal. You might eventually get where you're going, but it's going to be a confusing, inefficient journey. But now your signal is strong, your intentions are clear, your energy is focused, and the universe is responding accordingly. This is why everything in your life is changing so rapidly. Jobs, relationships, living situations, opportunities, it's all shifting to match your new energetic frequency, and the people who are desperate to pull you back, they're operating on the old frequency. They're trying to tune into a radio station that no longer exists. Your transformation has literally changed your vibrational signature. You're broadcasting on a different channel now. And the only way they could access that channel is by doing their own inner work, by raising their own frequency, by choosing their own growth. But that requires effort, commitment, and the willingness to face themselves honestly, and most energy vampires aren't willing to do that work. It's easier to try to drag you back down to their level than to rise up to yours. This is why your detachment is so crucial. It's not just protecting your current energy, it's protecting your transformation. It's ensuring that you can continue operating on this higher frequency without interference. Every time you maintain your boundaries, you're reinforcing your new energetic signature. Every time you choose your peace over their chaos, you're tuning your frequency higher. Every time you prioritize your growth over their comfort, you're ascending to a level they can't reach, and that ascension, that's what's driving them to desperation. They can feel you pulling away, not just physically or emotionally, but vibrationally. They can sense that you're accessing levels of power, peace, and possibility that they can't touch. Your very presence is becoming a mirror that reflects their own spiritual poverty back to them. And instead of using that mirror to inspire their own growth, they're trying to break it. But mirrors made of genuine transformation can't be broken by external force. They can only be strengthened by it. So what does life look like now that you've stepped into your power as a chosen one? What does it mean to live detached but not disconnected? What does it feel like to be protected by cosmic forces? First, understand that your silence has become your superpower. Every word you don't speak in reaction to their chaos is a victory. Every boundary you maintain without explanation is a declaration of your worth. Every moment you choose your peace over their drama is you choosing your destiny over their past. You're no longer reactive, you're responsive. There's a massive difference. Reactive people operate from their wounds, their triggers, their conditioning. Responsive people operate from their wisdom, their choice, their conscious awareness. You've made the shift from unconscious reaction to conscious response, and that shift has made you nearly untouchable. Their attempts to provoke you fall flat because you're no longer operating from the part of yourself that could be provoked. You've transcended their level of engagement. This doesn't mean you've become cold or unfeeling. It means you've become wise and discerning. You feel everything, but you choose what deserves your energy. Your empathy is still intact, but it's no longer indiscriminate. You can feel compassion for someone's struggles without feeling compelled to fix them. You can recognize someone's pain without absorbing it as your own. This is emotional mastery, chosen one. This is what spiritual maturity looks like. And the result, you're no longer exhausted at the end of the day from managing other people's emotions. You're no longer depleted from giving more than you receive. You're no longer confused about where you end and others begin. Your energy is yours. Your time is yours. Your peace is yours. And with that ownership comes unprecedented creative power. The same energy you used to spend on drama, you now invest in your dreams. The time you used to waste on toxic relationships, you now use for personal growth. The mental space that was once occupied by other people's problems is now available for your own solutions. This is why your life is expanding so rapidly. This is why opportunities are flowing your way. This is why you feel more aligned, more purposeful, more alive than you have in years. You've reclaimed your most precious resources and redirected them toward your highest potential. And that redirection has caught the attention of the universe itself. Remember, the universe is always watching, always ready to support those who support themselves. When you demonstrate that you value your own energy, the universe sends you more energy. When you show that you protect your own peace, the universe conspires to preserve it. You've become a conscious co-creator with cosmic forces, and that partnership, that's what makes you truly unstoppable. The people who are desperate to pull you back can't compete with universal support. They can't manipulate cosmic law. They can't gaslight the universe into questioning your worth. You're operating under divine protection now, and that protection isn't something they can understand, access, or overcome. Your detachment has become your greatest strength. Your boundaries have become your sacred space. Your peace has become your power. And no matter how desperately they reach for you, they find only empty air. Because you're no longer living in the space where their old tactics work. You've ascended to a level where their manipulation has no power. This is your new reality, chosen one. This is what it looks like to live aligned with your authentic power. Embrace it, celebrate it, protect it. Because while they're stuck in the past trying to resurrect old dynamics that no longer serve, you're creating a future that exceeds their wildest imagination. While they're obsessing over what they've lost, you're discovering what you've gained. While they're desperate to control you, you're learning to trust yourself completely. This is your time, your era, your awakening. The universe has your back. Your ancestors are cheering you on. Your future self is proud of who you're becoming. Stay detached, stay powerful, stay true. The best is yet to come, and they know it. That's why they're so desperate. But their desperation only confirms what you already know in your soul. You've made the right choice in choosing yourself. Keep choosing yourself, chosen one. The universe is counting on it, and so are all the souls who will be inspired by your example to choose themselves too. You're not just transforming your own life, you're showing others what's possible when someone finally decides they're worth protecting, worth prioritizing, worth choosing. That's the true power of a chosen one, not just personal transformation but collective inspiration. And that power, that's something they could never take from you, no matter how desperate they become. Welcome to your new reality. Welcome to your power. Welcome to your purpose. The age of giving yourself away is over. The age of choosing yourself has begun. But let me tell you something that will absolutely blow your mind about what's happening right now, chosen one. Because your transformation isn't happening in isolation, and it's not just about you breaking free from toxic patterns and energy vampires. It's about you becoming a catalyst for massive collective awakening that's rippling out through the consciousness of humanity itself. Every single time you choose yourself over their manipulation, every moment you maintain your boundaries despite their guilt trips, every instance where you prioritize your peace over their chaos, you're not just healing yourself, you're literally sending waves of permission through the collective unconscious that gives other sleeping souls the energetic green light to start choosing themselves too. This is why your detachment feels so monumental, why their desperation seems so intense, why the universe is responding so powerfully to your choices, because you're not just one person setting boundaries, why you're a representative of an entire generation of souls who are waking up to their worth and refusing to accept less than they deserve anymore. Think about this for a moment and really let it sink into your consciousness. Every person in your life who has been feeding off your energy, manipulating your emotions, and taking advantage of your giving nature represents thousands, maybe millions of other people on this planet who are doing the exact same thing to other chosen ones who are just beginning to wake up to their power. When you say no to their demands, when you refuse to engage with their drama, when you choose detachment over enmeshment, you're not just setting a boundary with them. You're setting a precedent in the morphic field of human consciousness that declares this kind of energetic exploitation is no longer acceptable, no longer tolerated, no longer something that conscious beings will participate in willingly. Your individual act of self-love becomes a collective declaration of human dignity, and that's why it feels so significant, so powerful, so absolutely life-changing, because on a soul level you understand that you're not just saving yourself, you're contributing to the salvation of humanity's relationship with authentic love and respect. The people who are showing you their desperation right now are actually serving as messengers from the old paradigm, the old way of being, the old systems of control and manipulation that have kept humanity trapped in cycles of codependency and energetic vampirism for generations upon generations. Their desperation is the death rattle of an entire way of being that no longer serves the highest good of conscious evolution. And while it might feel personal, while it might seem like they're targeting you specifically, what's really happening is that they're being triggered by the frequency of truth that you're now embodying, the vibration of authentic self-love that threatens every false construct they've built their identity around. They're not just desperate to get you back, they're desperate to maintain a reality where their way of operating still works, where people still accept crumbs instead of demanding the whole feast, where souls still give their power away instead of claiming it fully and completely. This is why your transformation feels so cosmic, so divinely orchestrated, so absolutely supported by forces beyond the physical realm, because it is cosmic, it is divinely orchestrated, and you are being supported by forces that understand the massive implications of what you're doing right now. Every ascended master, every enlightened being, every soul who has ever walked the path of true self-love is cheering you on from the other side because they understand that your individual awakening contributes to the collective awakening that this planet desperately needs right now. Your boundaries aren't just personal preferences, they're spiritual activism, and your detachment isn't just emotional protection, it's energetic activism that's helping to shift the entire planetary consciousness toward a more loving, more respectful, more authentic way of being. Now let me explain to you what's happening in the quantum field of possibility that surrounds your life right now, because when a chosen one steps into their authentic power, the way you have, when they stop leaking energy through toxic relationships and start conserving their life force for their highest purpose, they literally open doorways in the fabric of reality that were previously locked shut by their own energetic confusion and scattered focus. The universe operates on the principle of energetic resonance, which means that like attracts like, and when your energy was scattered across 100 different people's problems, when your attention was divided between your own growth and everyone else's drama, when your life force was being siphoned off by energy vampires who never intended to give anything back, you were broadcasting a confused signal into the quantum field that attracted more confusion, more chaos, more situations that required you to give more than you received. But now that you've consolidated your energy, now that you've become clear about your worth, now that you're operating from a place of self-love instead of self-sacrifice, you're broadcasting a completely different signal into the universe, and that signal is attracting opportunities, people, and experiences that match your new level of self-respect and energetic integrity. This is why everything in your life is changing so rapidly right now, why doors that were closed for years are suddenly swinging wide open, why people who never noticed you before are suddenly drawn to your energy, why opportunities that seemed impossible are suddenly presenting themselves as not just possible but inevitable. The Obsidian Inner Order isn't just another spiritual community, it's a sanctuary for the exiled, the awakened, the ones who've been gaslit for their gifts and abandoned for their truth. Every week we gather live on Zoom, real people with real faces sharing real stories of transformation. There's a former CFO who embraced their psychic abilities, a seer who broke free from religious oppression, and a healer who survived ritual abuse and found their power. Dozens more join us, who understand exactly what you've been through. This is your spiritual family. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you walk through this awakening alone. Never gonna scroll past your suffering like it's just content. Your exile from the ordinary world wasn't punishment, it was preparation. For this, for us, for the family that chooses you back. Join the Obsidian Inner Order. Link in description. The quantum field responds to clarity, and your detachment has given you the ultimate clarity about who you are, what you deserve, and what you're no longer willing to tolerate in your experience. When you stopped being available for their drama, you became available for your destiny, and the universe has been waiting for this moment, this choice, this decision to finally prioritize yourself so it could begin delivering everything you've been asking for, everything you've been dreaming of, everything your soul came here to experience and create. The people who are desperate to pull you back into the old patterns can sense on a vibrational level that you're accessing levels of possibility that they can't even imagine, let alone reach. And this terrifies them because it forces them to confront their own limitations, their own resistance to growth, their own addiction to staying small and playing victim in their own lives. Your expansion is holding up a mirror to their stagnation, and instead of using that mirror as inspiration to do their own inner work, they're trying to convince you to shrink back down to a size that makes them feel comfortable, a level that doesn't challenge their excuses for why they can't have what they want, why they can't be who they dream of being, why they can't create the life they secretly desire. But you're not shrinking anymore, chosen one. You're expanding, and that expansion is taking you into dimensions of possibility that they've never even considered accessible to someone like them, someone like you. Someone who isn't special, or lucky, or privileged in the ways they've convinced themselves are necessary for real success and happiness. What they don't understand is that being chosen isn't about being better than anyone else, but it's about being willing to choose yourself when everyone around you is choosing to stay stuck. It's about being brave enough to break patterns when everyone else is comfortable with dysfunction. But it's about being strong enough to stand alone when standing with the crowd means compromising your integrity and your growth. You've demonstrated this willingness, this bravery, this strength, and the universe has taken notice, not because you're more deserving than anyone else, but because you're more willing than most people to do what it takes to align with your highest potential, even when that alignment requires you to disappoint people, even when it means being misunderstood, even when it feels lonely and uncertain and scary. From an eternal perspective, from the viewpoint of your soul that existed before this lifetime and will continue to exist long after this physical experience ends, what's happening to you right now is exactly what was always supposed to happen, exactly what you planned before you incarnated into this reality. Exactly what your higher self has been orchestrating from behind the scenes for years, maybe decades, waiting for the perfect moment when you would be ready to step into the fullness of who you came here to be. The relationships that are ending, the people who are showing their desperation, the boundaries you're setting, the detachment you're maintaining, all of it is serving your soul's highest purpose, which is to remember your inherent worth, to reclaim your authentic power, and to demonstrate for others what's possible when someone finally decides they're worth protecting, worth prioritizing, worth choosing, above all the external pressures to diminish themselves for other people's comfort. Your soul didn't come here to be a small chosen one. It didn't incarnate into this reality to be convenient for people who are afraid of their own potential. It didn't choose this lifetime to enable other souls' spiritual laziness by being their constant source of energy and validation. Your soul came here to shine, to grow, to expand, to create, to love authentically, and to inspire others to do the same through your example of what it looks like to honor yourself completely. The people who are desperate to pull you back are actually playing their role perfectly in your soul's plan, because their resistance to your growth, their inability to celebrate your transformation, their desperation to keep you at their level, is providing you with the exact contrast you need to fully appreciate how far you've come and how committed you are to never going back to the version of yourself that accepted less than you deserved. This eternal perspective doesn't make their behavior acceptable or excuse their attempts to manipulate you back into old patterns, but it does help you understand that everything is happening for your highest good. Everything is contributing to your evolution. Everything is serving your soul's purpose of becoming who you came here to be. Their desperation is actually confirmation that you're on the right path, evidence that you're no longer vibrating at their level, proof that you've transcended the limitations that still bind them to patterns of lack, fear, and control. When you can see their behavior through this lens, when you can recognize their desperation as feedback about your growth rather than a problem you need to solve, you become even more detached, even more centered, even more aligned with the truth of who you are and what you deserve. So embrace this moment, chosen one. Embrace this transformation. Embrace this detachment. Embrace this new level of self-love and self-respect that you've cultivated through your willingness to choose yourself, even when it disappoints others, even when it confuses people, even when it triggers their deepest insecurities about their own potential. You are living proof that change is possible, that growth is available to anyone willing to do the inner work, that love begins with loving yourself enough to set boundaries that protect your peace, your energy, and your dreams. The universe is celebrating your courage, your ancestors are blessing your path, and your future self is grateful for every choice you're making right now to honor the magnificent soul that you are and have always been, the chosen one who finally chose themselves.